Get into it. Sold Not For Sale podcast. Coach Colin here in the vacation studio that I got going on right now. What we got today is a Trump heavy episode. Sometimes Joe Rogan mentions Trump more than a few times in one podcast, and I just like to comb through the whole thing, gather all that up, and bring that to you guys. So we're going to be touching on Joe Rogan talking about cartel kill teams that Trump plans to send out when he's reelected. We're going to see if that story is true or false. We're going to give you some full context on that. Then we're going to move on to a clip where they're just talking about the trials and how ridiculous they all are. And I'm going to bring you a senator questioning the director of the FBI, asking him, is this just a coincidence, everything that's happened with Trump, or is this an actual coordinated effort? You're going to see his answer there. And then the last clip is just talking about, to quote Joe Rogan, a guy like Trump can really make a difference. Because when you're talking about the left and the right, Trump kind of comes in, and yes, he is a Republican, but at the same time, he doesn't care about either side. We've seen that many times. He will call out the left and he'll call out people on the right, and he's like a steamroller right now when it comes to the election. So let's get into it. Some videos, some clips. We're going to be jumping around the episode. It's going to be real fun. Anyways, guys, don't forget about the new channel I got, Coach Colin Media. The latest video on there, link in the description, is 50 Cent was told that he cannot vote for Trump because he is black. 50 Cent responds by going to Capitol Hill and endorsing Trump once again. Anyways, guys, let's get out of that and let's go over to this Joe Rogan clip. Let's start.
Skill. There's no like YouTube shows where you can see someone breaking it.
Way too fast, guys. Way too fast. Let's not do it that fast. Let's go.
Down. Oh, they're actually trying to get away from the American dollar, and we're trying to do this and that, and there's none of that. No one knew the hustle.
It's crazy that these wars are still happening. I don't know why we're giving them our money. We need I don't know.
Well, that's not going to change.
Yeah.
I mean that might shift if Trump becomes president. I mean, maybe he can get away with some stuff. Maybe he could do some things. He wants to stop the wars. He's like the only one that's like saying he can stop the wars and wants to stop the wars.
He's the only one that did before. He did it.
What can he do though? What can he do different? Like let's pretend it's November of 2024. Trump wins. January he gets in office. What can he do?
Well, it seems like he has a way to
Jesus Christ. Trump is planning to send kill teams to Mexico to take out cartel leaders. Donald Trump has told allies about his plans to covertly send special forces to Mexico to assassinate drug kingpins. Sources tell Rolling Stone. Well, Rolling Stone, you have lied to me before. You've lied to me a lot. And you've lied to me about the fucking people overdosing on horse dewormer. Remember that? Mm-hmm. That was Rolling Stone. They had a line of people outside waiting to get to the hospital because so many people were in there for horse dewormer overdoses that gunshot victims couldn't get in.
Jesus.
They're so dumb. They used a photograph. This was in like August in Oklahoma. They used a photograph of people wearing coats because they were lining up for a flu shot. It was a different shot, different photo. It wasn't what they really were there for. It was bullshit.
Rolling Stone is terrible. Still getting my bearings here in the vacation studio. The Rolling Stone, they do lie quite a bit, and that's why I wanted to actually check into it, because I was like, I don't know about just trusting the Rolling Stone right off the bat. I don't really like the way they operate, I'll be honest with you. So I found an article actually talking about the exact same thing, a source that I kind of trust a little bit more, but obviously I'm going to dig a little bit deeper. I want to see Trump say it with his own mouth. That's what I want to show you guys, but people are saying, according to sources, that he does want to send out hit squads to Mexico to assassinate cartel drug lords. Now, great idea. It sounds crazy as I'm saying it, but if anybody could do it, it would be Donald Trump. Now, again, went a little deeper into the research. I wanted to find, is this actually true? Did he actually say this? Check this out.
Fentanyl, heroin, meth.
Let's slow that down. Here you go, ladies and gentlemen.
And other lethal drugs are pouring across our wide open border, stealing hundreds of thousands of beautiful American lives. And it's happening like never before in our history. Children are being left without parents. Families are being ripped apart. Communities are being decimated. Our neighbors and fellow citizens are having their entire worlds destroyed. Destroyed like nobody thought possible. Our country is being poisoned from within by the drugs and by all of the other crime that's taking place. The drug cartels are waging war on America, and it's now time for America to wage war on the cartels. In this war, Joe Biden has sided against the United States and with the cartels. They are making more money than they've ever made before, times 10. There's never been anything like it. They're major, major companies. They're bigger than even some of our biggest companies. Biden's open border policies are a deadly betrayal of our nation. When I am president, it will be the policy of the United States to take down the cartels, just as we took down ISIS and the ISIS caliphate, and just as, unlike the situation we're in today, we had a very, very strong border, the strongest border, in fact, in the history of our country, and drugs were at a low of 45 years. There's been nothing like what we did just 2 years ago. We will show no mercy on the cartels. Every day, drug traffickers are using the waters of our region to ship their lethal poisons to America, killing so many of our people and ruining families. In addition to restoring strong border security, I will deploy all necessary military assets, including the U.S. Navy, to impose the full naval embargo on the cartels. I did that before, and it worked. What we did was incredible. We will guarantee that the waters of the Western Hemisphere are not used to traffic illicit drugs to our country. Furthermore, I will order the Department of Defense to make appropriate use of special forces, cyber warfare, and other overt and covert actions to inflict maximum damage on cartel leadership, infrastructure, and operations. I will designate the major cartels as foreign terrorist organizations. We will sever their access to global financial systems. I will also work to forge an unprecedented partnership with neighboring governments in our region, just like I did in Mexico. And remember, in Mexico alone, an estimated 100,000 civilians have been tragically murdered or gone missing at the hands of these cartels. The Mexican government, run by a very fine man, the president, is really working hard, but it's not working out. These cartels are vicious and they're violent, and they have Mexico for now stymied. Well, we have to help Mexico, and we have to stymie the cartels. Either we will get the full cooperation of other governments to stop this menace, or we will expose every bribe, every kickback, every payoff, and every bit of corruption that is allowing the cartels to preserve their brutal reign, and it is indeed brutal. Finally, as I have said before, I will ask Congress to pass legislation ensuring that drug smugglers and human traffickers receive the death penalty. The drug cartels and their allies in the Biden administration have the blood of countless millions on their hands. Millions and millions of families and people are being destroyed. When I'm back in the White House, the drug kingpins and vicious traffickers will never sleep soundly again. We did it once, and we did it better than anybody else. There's never been a better border than we had just 2 years ago. It was strong, it was powerful, and it was respected all over the world. And now we're laughed at all over the world. And we're not going to let that happen much longer. We have to take over, we have to be tough, we have to be smart, we have to be fair. But if we don't do something immediately, our country is gone.
Wow. Donald Trump, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you something. He was gangster way before these indictments rolled in. That was amazing to hear. Wow. So, to Joe Rogan's question, what can he do to stop war? Well, things like that. And I know that, there will be a little bit of chaos as he does that. No doubt there's going to be chaos when he does that. But it will result. Who knows what it will result in? At least they'll know that it's not just an open border. It's not just free season to just run inside America with loads of fentanyl and all sorts of other things. Now, the thing is, there's a new president, right? There's a female president now, right? Female, neither here nor there. Who cares about that? But who knows how she's going to take to all that? Is she going to be okay with that? I'm going to get to the next Joe Rogan clip right now. Is she going to be all right with that? Is she going to be like, hey, no problem, just come on in here and take out these guys for me? Or is she going to get her back up a little bit and not want that to happen? I wonder. I really do wonder if she's going to be okay with that. And I think she's going to have to be. You know, that's the thing about Trump. He kind of, and I think it's a good thing. At certain times, he's willing to threaten other countries. And it's not deadly threats. It's like what he did with Mexico. He's like, we're going to put tariffs. We're going to put huge taxes. We're going to do these things if you don't do what I need you to do. And, you know, for the other countries, it's not fun, I guess. For the governments that he does it to, it's not fun. But it's very, very necessary. So just in regards to that whole thing, the kill teams to Mexico, it's actually way more than it was understated what he plans on doing. It's digital. It's actual people on the ground. It's covert. It's overt. It's everything. He's pretty much like, we're coming into Mexico and we're going to sweep your floors a little bit. Hey, don't worry about it. You guys been cleaning for us for years. I'm going to come over there. We're going to sweep the floors a little bit. We're going to clean up a little bit. It's okay. Sit back. Ma'am, what's your name? Claudia? Claudia the communist? Sit down, ma'am. We're going to sweep the floors a little bit. I wonder, because like I said in the episode that I just did, I think it would be very hard to not be associated with cartels, at least somewhat, if you're in the government. I would think by now they would have a very firm stronghold on the government. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be surprised if they were running government on certain levels, you know, whatever their state level would be. I wouldn't be surprised at all. I don't know. It seems like they'd be working hand in hand by now because, like Trump said, massive amounts of money. He's like, they have more money than some of our big companies. That's 100% true. Hundreds of billions of dollars. These guys are like walking around like, and there's more than one. It's not like it's just one entity. There's a few of them. You think they can't just throw, they could easily be like, hey, $1 billion, don't bother us anymore. They can't do that to one politician, to a group of politicians? I don't know. I think they could. Let's get into the next clip, guys.
Or are they gaining ground? Like, you tell me what you think. Well, you know, I mean, I just think what Putin did was like, do you support a guy like storming into a country and taking over? I'm like, no, I definitely don't. I definitely didn't support that. But that doesn't mean that you should spend hundreds of billions of dollars to prolong what seems like some horrible, bloody conflict that just, how are they going to win? Are they going to take over Russia? Like, how are they going to win? They're going to kick Russia out? Russia's going to quit? They're never going to do it again? NATO can move in? Everything's going to be fine? Are you sure? Are you sure nuclear weapons aren't on the table? Are you fucking positive? Is it good that China and Russia have cuddled up together now and they're all buddy-buddy and they're fucking shaking hands and smiling and taking pictures? Like, is that good? That seems not good. It seems not good if the whole fucking world is against us. Like, that seems really bad.
And if they make our medicine.
Right, and what solution could Trump possibly do? Like, when he says he could stop it, like, how do you stop it? How do you stop it?
I think Trump just puts the fear of God into these people a little bit. I think he puts the fear of...
The guy's not going to play by the rules.
Right. They read our news. If they glance at our news, it looks like we have a crazy president. So they're like, oh, let's wait a bit. I honestly feel that way. I think that they think by glancing at our weird propaganda that we have, that we're being fed, they're like, this guy's kind of crazy according to them. So, let's wait. I mean, why did Putin wait? Why did Putin wait to invade Ukraine until old Poopy Pants Jenkins was president?
If I was going to do anything, I'd do it right now.
Yeah.
It just seems like everything's so chaotic.
Absolutely. We got no border. We're giving money to fucking whoever wants it. We're already rich countries.
We got men who are the first female admiral.
Oh, my God.
We have so much chaos.
Chaos.
It's so kooky.
Yeah.
It's just so kooky.
It's crazy.
It's kooky, and it seems like they're just leaning into it. Like, there's no course correction at all. Just leaning into the kooky.
Yeah.
Fun times.
Oh, yeah.
For comedy. Oh, my goodness. We have so much stuff to talk about. Stuff that you would have to manufacture something that bizarre that people are accepting at any other time in history.
It's so weird.
So weird. It really is like the whole country's hypnotized. And I just think this is a perfect storm of things that are happening all at the same time. With AI emerging, China and Russia becoming buddies, us being run by a dead man. They're trying to stop this other guy from even running, and they're exposing how corrupt the democracy is. They're exposing how corrupt the system is just by charging this guy with 34 felonies for paying off a lady he had sex with. Like, what?
And how else would he have paid her money to?
Well, it was the
whatever?
way it was written, the way it was put in a ledger. It's basically, on most situations, it would have been considered a misdemeanor. But they turned it into a felony. They trumped it up, oh, no pun intended.
No.
And then he signed like 34 different checks. So there's 34 different. The whole thing's crazy. First of all, what a cheap fuck. I'll pay her in installments.
Yeah.
Don't give her all the money. Give her a little taste. Keep her on the hook.
Yeah. That actually makes sense, I guess, now that I think about it. Because if you pay her all at once, you could just write a book or whatever.
No, the whole deal was that she couldn't talk if she got the money, but obviously that didn't work out. She got the money and still talked. If you have the backing of the political party, it doesn't matter. Like, especially the party that's in charge. But what's scary is how many Democrats are willing to allow this kind of stuff to happen. But a lot of them are aware of it. There was this one lady that went viral, and she was talking about it, and she was saying, you have to understand, like, I'm not a Trump supporter, I don't like Trump, but this is really dangerous for democracy. Nobody can justify this, and nobody can say this guy should be in jail for this. It just doesn't make any sense. And especially if you wanted to look at past presidents with the same scrutiny. I mean, there's so many instances of things that you could go, and this was one of the things that Obama had said when Obama got into office. They were talking about George Bush and Dick Cheney being charged with war crimes. And he was saying, we're not going to look to the past, we're going to look towards the future. Mm-hmm. You know, like, we're not going to prosecute anybody. You imagine if when Obama got into office, if he decided to prosecute Dick Cheney and George Bush for crimes against humanity?
Yeah, crazy.
Oh, my God. You know how crazy that would be? Do you know how divided the country would be then? Well, that's the same thing kind of that is taking place now at a lesser scale, obviously, because it's not a war crime you're charging someone with. But you could charge Trump with war crimes. You could find some things that he did, especially with bombings and even what Obama did. Obama, during the administration, they dropped a drone on a U.S. citizen. No trial, no nothing. Boom. Yeah.
Trump didn't go for Obama. He didn't go for Hillary. And he could have. He could have tried them for things.
Yeah, well, especially Hillary.
Yeah.
Especially with the whole email thing, the deleting of the emails.
And supposedly Trump's the crazy one. Trump's the loose cannon.
They're all crazy. That's what they don't want you to know. It's like sluts that are always talking bad about other girls who are sluts. Like, it's what people do. It's a thing that, people, that's not me. I'm not like that. It's just a weird thing that people do. And people form teams, and they justify why they should use any means necessary to silence the other people on the other team, the opposition. And they don't even realize they're setting a precedent. And when this motherfucker gets in office, or another motherfucker gets in office that's a Republican, you've got real problems now, kids. If the elections are real, that's how it usually goes. It usually goes one side wins, and like, this fucking sucks. Let's try the other way. The other guy wins, like, oh, this is bullshit. Let's try the other way. And this is what we've done in this country over and over and over again.
Yeah.
We go Clinton to Bush, Bush to Obama. It's what we do.
Yeah.
It's what we do. We always do it this way.
Yep.
And if you change the way people are allowed to go after political candidates, and you change the way you're allowed to silence and imprison your candidates, then we're like Mexico. We're just not assassinating people yet. We're like a third world country. We're like a banana republic. We're letting things other than the will of the people and what's best for the people be what's running the thing. We're letting the thing be run by the people that are in power, that are corrupt, that want to keep the power. Because it's not just Biden. Biden is barely there, right? It's all the people that are working there. You got to understand, he's got this huge team behind him. They don't want to leave. What? Get on LinkedIn? Get on LinkedIn and fucking try to get a new job? Start sending out your resume? Yeah. I work for the worst administration ever.
Right.
I was one of the people, I mean, the one thing you can do is get a job as like a political person on like TV. You'll get one of those jobs, like if you're a White House press secretary, And there's like Huckabee, isn't she like a governor now?
Yeah. I think Arkansas or something.
That's a good one to start with. You want to run the world? Start with Arkansas.
Yeah. I was talking to Tulsi Gabbard the other night, and I went off on a rant to her about mental health asylums. I'm like, these people are everywhere on the streets now.
Yeah.
It's crazy people. And it's not a great thing to have them out. It's not good for them, and it's not good for everyone else.
All the crazy people. Sorry if you're hearing some noises there. We're not so stable here. The desks, I mean. But anyway, first off, Huckabee, she seems like, I'm sure anybody can find some stuff. You'll be like, oh my God, you didn't know about the things she did that I didn't like, and you didn't know about, oh my God. I know. But the fact that she was like, there are Chinese farm and landowners near military installations, and she right away was like, that can't happen. She stopped it right away and actually kicked them out. That's pretty solid. Not many other states have done that, just so you know. She seems okay. That's the only that I saw that one thing and I was like, that's pretty solid of her to do. Blinken. Speaking of the Biden team, really quick, I'm gonna switch over this clip, like I said I would. But you know, Blinken, I have to look into the video I saw, but apparently Blinken, I think it's his dad. His dad was someone, and there's this whole connection. There's this weird connection with Blinken and his dad, and I don't know, man. I don't know. I don't want to say anything, but Blinken is I won't say he's in charge, but I don't know. This video I saw is very, very interesting. I have to find it. If I do something on it, it'll be on the other channel. But and then he said Trump for war crimes. I don't really know that you could pull Trump up on any war crimes, right? George Bush, that was one thing. Trump was avid. Like, here's the thing. If you're running around and you're war hungry and you're just starting war constantly, this, that, financing, I could see how somebody could say war crimes. You know, George Bush, I could see, George Bush Jr., I should say, I could see how somebody could talk about him in war crimes. Trump was actively trying to stop wars. So to look at anything that did happen in terms of anybody passing, I don't know. I think it'd be hard to say that somebody who's been so anti-war should be put up for war crimes. I think that'd be really, really tough to do. And honestly, let's be honest. If they could, I think they would. That's just me. That's just what I'm saying. I think they would. And to Obama, really, Obama not prosecuting George Bush. Now, it's a deep rabbit hole, okay? But he's not going to prosecute his cousin. I'm just saying it. He's not going to prosecute his cousin. Look into it. That's all I'm saying. All right? That's all I'm saying. He's not going to do that to someone he's related to. You look into that, okay? I already did. How many of them are related? Trump's the only one not related. I'm just saying there's a whole bunch of them, bunch of these presidents, they've been related. Trump's not in that bloodline. That's all I'm saying. Maybe that's why he's unacceptable. That's for another episode, though. Let's get into this clip. This is Senator Bill Hagerty questioning Christopher Wray on if this is a coincidence or a coordinated effort in regards to everything going on with Trump. Let's get into it. Let's just make sure the speed, of course I have it jacked up on the speed. Let's hear.
Senator Hagerty.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Welcome, Director Wray. Director Wray, we're in the midst of a critical election year, and the American people need to be able to count on a fair process. Are you concerned about election interference this year? A yes or no answer will suffice.
Am I concerned about election interference? Yes.
I'd like to talk about one specific threat, one specific concern that I have. Several federal laws prohibit using governmental authority to interfere in federal elections. And the FBI would be in charge of investigating such a violation of federal law were it to occur. Is that correct?
I'd have to think about the specific examples, but certainly there's a range of types of interference in elections that we have authorities to pursue. So I guess it depends on the facts, the specific factual scenario.
Certainly happened. I know the FBI has investigated extensively in the past in this arena. Here we have a situation that's unprecedented. No former president, no major candidate for president has ever been prosecuted criminally in American history. Yet now we have a situation where the incumbent president's major candidate, major opponent, is being prosecuted in 5 separate jurisdictions all by Democrat partisan prosecutors, and all of this culminating right in the middle of an election season. Does that sound to you like coordinated election interference, or is that just a coincidence?
Well, I'm not going to discuss pending state criminal prosecutions. That's not something I would ever do.
I'm talking about utilizing governmental authority to interfere in an election. Let me get more specific. What we saw happen last week was Alvin Bragg, who ran on a platform of getting Trump, do just that with a flimsy made-up theory and a criminal conviction. Just this weekend, the leader of the Soros organization came out and advised Democrats to repeat the slogan, "convicted felon," so it could be imprinted on voters' minds. Alvin Bragg facilitated that imprint and did just that. Is that coordinated election interference, or is that just a coincidence that that would happen?
Again, with all due respect, I'm not going to talk about, you're talking about a state.
Well, let me get.
criminal
I'll go
case
to a federal level then. If you look back to April of 2022, the New York Times reported that President Biden had told his advisors that he wanted Donald Trump prosecuted. That was printed in the New York Times. Just days after President Trump announces that he's going to enter the election process, Merrick Garland appoints Jack Smith to prosecute Trump, President Biden's opponent. Is this coordinated election interference to go after your opponent in a federal election using the Justice Department to do it?
You're asking about a special counsel appointment by the Attorney General and a pending federal case that is in front of a federal judge, and it's not something that I can appropriately discuss here.
Well, here's another situation. When Letitia James was running for New York Attorney General, she campaigned to get Trump. In fact, Representative Dan Goldman called it an individualized political vendetta. Does it seem that using the criminal justice system for a political vendetta is election interference, or is that just a coincidence too?
Again, I'm just not going to weigh in on pending state criminal cases. It's not an appropriate role for the FBI.
If the FBI has the duty to investigate violations of federal law, and federal law prohibits the use of governmental authority to interfere in elections, particularly a presidential election of this consequence, the FBI is not investigating, and I presume, who's going to investigate it? Who's going to look into this?
Well, again, I'm not going to talk about who we are or are not investigating because that's not something that's appropriate for me under DOJ rules. I can tell you that we are going to do our part, and we have one part in protecting our elections from the threats that we have jurisdiction to investigate.
Well, the way the legal stars have aligned in this circumstance is deeply concerning, not only to me, but to the American people. And I just stepped through a number of situations where it certainly appears that there is a coordinated effort to go after the president's main political rival. And it's happening, all of these are convening right at the same time, right in the middle of an election year. They're using facts or theories from years past, but all of it is coming together right at this point in time. It certainly looks like a coordinated effort to me, and it certainly looks like the type of thing that the FBI should be investigating. Thank you, Madam Chair.
That guy has a voice for radio. That guy sounds great. Smooth voice. Talking all facts as well. 5 districts, all Democrats during an election, people running on get Trump, and then the next thing you know, they're all going after Trump. I wonder. That you know what, actually, that actually seems like a coincidence, right? any other person, any other time, everybody would understand right away. No, this is not a coincidence. Everybody would get it. But today, with Trump, sensibilities, sympathy, empathy, understanding, logic, everything goes out the window in regards to Trump. The way that they look at it, you can he's the racist person, but you have free reign to be racist towards anybody who supports him, black or white. Black is new. It's just started the past 6 months. Oh yeah. People going after Byron Donalds, all sorts of Charles Barkley. I'm going to punch black people in the face if I see him with a Trump shirt on. What? That's a lot like the campaign that people were running on I say, when they were saying punch a Nazi. And then they just decided that Trump supporters were Nazis. It's like, wait, hold on. Wait, what? You can't just do that. But they were getting out there. If you had a red hat on, I remember there was a guy who got punched in the face for wearing a red hat. It didn't even say "Make America Great Again." They just saw the red hat. They saw a white guy. They were like, I know what this is. That's it. It's very interesting. Joy Reid making fun of Byron Donalds, saying that he's getting patted on the head by the white Republicans, tricking him into thinking he's going to be Speaker of the House, which, you know, are you going to say the same? But don't say the same thing about Jim Jordan. He wanted to be Speaker of the House. Everybody thought he might have a chance, but nobody's like, oh, they're just patting you on the head, Jim. They're just patting you on the head. Oh, no, of course, say it's Byron. It's just everything goes out the window. It's very, very interesting. That's why I wear this. Very proudly. Tell Charles Barkley to come see me. He's probably too busy with his show. Oh, no, his show got canceled. Okay, I forgot. I outlasted Charles Barkley. Celebrate. Anyways, guys, this is actually Dr. Phil and Donald Trump sitting down together talking. Trump is on gag order. Dr. Phil is not. So he's kind of saying things that Trump is not allowed to say. And kudos to him for doing that. Let's get into that. Let's make sure this speed's normal. Yes, it is. Let's get into it.
Of it because I have a gag order. Think of it. I'm the Republican nominee. I was the president, and I'm leading the current Democrat by a lot. And I have a gag order from a local judge that was appointed by the Democrat Party. A local judge. He's a local person. And he is appointed, and he put a gag order in me. Nobody's ever seen anything like it.
While you're campaigning.
While I'm campaigning, like you just mentioned a question that I'm not allowed to talk about.
Right.
Can you imagine? I'm the Republican nominee, and I'm not allowed to talk because a local judge from New York, appointed by Democrats, said I can't talk about it. It's so unfair. And then he gives a jury charge. Nobody's ever heard of a charge like this. He gave instructions to the jury. And by the way, the jury happened to be in a location that was almost no Republicans. You understand that?
Yeah, it's 87-13 in the last two elections, Republican. And I know you can't talk about it. I'm not under a gag order. I do know that the number 3 person in the Department of Justice took a pay cut and went down in stature to go to a state job and become one of the lead prosecutors in this case. But yet they say, hey, Dr. Phil, why are you saying that President Biden needs to stop all of this? It's a state case. That's exactly why I'm saying it. Don't be naive, people. Understand that there's a power play going on here.
It's controlled by the White House and the DOJ, 100%.
You know, Gerard Baker wrote in Wall Street Journal today, and I'm paraphrasing, but he said, what do we say to those people that are rejoicing over reducing law to the status of a weapon in the hands of the dominant political power? Because that's what's happening right now. It's become a weapon, and that's not what it's intended for. That's not what we need to be doing. I mean, let's let the people decide these, right?
That's right. That was a very good statement in the Wall Street Journal. I read that this morning, and it's so true. I mean, it's so accurate. They've weaponized to a level. They are trying to affect the election by demeaning, hurting in any form. And by the way, I think after the election, the hatred's great enough that they'll go, but with much less enthusiasm. This is about November 5th, which I think is going to be the most important day in the history of our country. If we don't turn this around, we're not going to have a country left anymore.
And you know what? A lot of people probably hear that and it sounds kind of crazy, but at the same time, what kind of country do you have left if both sides end up prosecuting each other constantly? And believe you me, if all of a sudden, you know, and many people have brought this up, if all of a sudden Trump's getting thrown in jail or they're attempting to, and then by chance the other side does it to Biden or Pelosi or anybody who's on the left, AOC on the left, it's gonna trickle down to the people real easy. Like, it's going to be real easy for you to go to jail, you know? And I'm not saying that as you got to go support Trump, but you definitely, left or right, should be condemning what's happening to him, you know? Whether you want to see him as president or not, this is not good. I've brought this up so many times. If this was happening to Biden, I'd be like, oh, this is crazy. I'd be like, oh, what's wrong with this crazy guy Trump? Why is he doing this to this Biden guy? Now, I mean, obviously, we all know there's a lot of questionable things going on with the Biden family. But if it was just random things, that the statute of limitation is gone and, you know, he's doing it just to be spiteful, I'd be like, no, don't do this. If it's justified, I get it. But that's not what we're seeing today. We're not seeing something that's been justified, not whatsoever. I got a little ad here. I'm going to go to the last Joe Rogan clip. and then we're just gonna give some final thoughts. But Dr. Phil also, just want to say, Dr. Phil's doing some great things. He has a company called Merit Street Media, where he's doing a lot of stuff. Like, I mean, he's interviewing Trump. He's doing some great stuff. You know, he's really speaking to the people. He's really getting people's opinions on things. He actually did a poll recently of who is going to actually vote for the convicted felon, and it was like 91%, right? You know, polls can always be, you know, a poll will be your audience. If I do a poll right now, it'll be of my audience. Most people are right-leaning who are listening to this stuff. But still, it showed that a lot of people who are already Trump supporters, at the very least, this is what it's showing. People who are already Trump supporters are still Trump supporters, even though this whole thing has gone down. Let's go into the last clip.
It'd be close. Seems like there's a candidate that the government really doesn't
Yeah,
want
there's
in.
one guy. What's his name?
Yeah.
The one guy who went to the UFC this weekend and got like a 30-second standing ovation.
Yep.
Almost as big as Dave in Ohio, but not quite.
Right.
Not quite.
They're changing the tone on this. I mean,
Yeah.
like, you know, they're doing it. They want to try to make him look like a bad guy, but people just aren't stupid anymore. I mean, there's obviously still like half the country doesn't get it, but
Yo, so many rappers. So many rappers are showing support for Trump now. It's crazy.
yeah.
Because now he's got a felony.
Right.
I mean, like, now they realize also he's getting trapped by the system, just like everybody's been rapping about. Being
Right.
trapped by the system, this bullshit system. And you watch it happen with him.
Exactly. Yeah, I was just talking about this. It's like I don't think they were counting on the black voter being like, hey, they just fucked that guy. That's what they do to us.
Yeah, this is what they do to everybody, and they pretend they're there for you while they're letting in immigrants. And you know what, man? Here's the problem. Here's the real problem. Republicans won't be the solution either, kids. The problem is people in a position of power. The Republicans seem like they are your solution, but it's just because the people in power right now are the Democrats. Whenever the Democrats are out and the Republicans are in, everybody is dying for a Democrat. I remember when Bush was president, after the second term, everybody's like, good Lord, can we get a fucking reasonable Democrat in here before this country goes Christian nationalist and goes crazy and starts every war?
Yeah.
And then Obama comes in like, oh, things going to be great. But it kind of seems like kind of the same, you know? And the whistleblower protection that he promised, actually probably like one of the worst on whistleblowers ever. Drone strikes, kind of a shitload of drone strikes.
Yeah.
The whole thing was bonkers. It's just the same structure with a different face. It's Bill Hicks's joke. Bill Hicks's joke about, I think the puppet on the left is to my liking. Well, I'm more aligned with the puppet on the right. Hey, there's one guy and he's holding both puppets. That's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with money. Mm-hmm. We're dealing with money and power. And you know, if you think that's where a person like a Trump character does make a difference, though, because he truly does not give a fuck. And especially now, after all they've done to him, just all the things he survived. Yeah. You gotta think this guy was beloved until he's about 70 years old.
Yeah.
And that's when he starts running for president. Actually, he was a little bit mocked before that, while Obama was in office, because he was one of those people that was a birther.
Yeah.
You know, I'm one of those people that I don't give a fuck where you were born as long as you're not actually an undercover terrorist. You know, if you're like clearly like a regular person that just happened to be born in Nigeria or happened to be born in Saudi Arabia, but now you're here. You went to school here, you have friends here, you got family here, you love it here. America's the shit. You can be president. Like, I don't really think that you have to be born on a certain patch of dirt to run it. That seems like Viking shit.
It's so funny because after a few seconds of this clip, he goes into the fact that he used to be very liberal. but he also feels like anybody from any country should be able to be president. But what he did say about that's why someone like Trump could come in and actually make a difference, I completely agree with that, man. He does not seem, well, first of all, I touched on the whole bloodline thing. He doesn't seem to be in that whole bloodline. And also, he just seems to be unacceptable. I mean, when he first started running, he was unacceptable by everybody. But then the Republicans saw, they were like, oh, this guy is he's gaining momentum. And like, oh, he's doing it in a different way. We've never seen anything like this. And then it was like, this might be the guy. And that's why they really took him on, right? But even when he was in office, he's like, I'm going to, this person, it'll be a Republican. They're weak. Thought they were okay, but they're weak. Someone on the left, they're Marxist. Like, he calls out both sides quite a bit. And when he decided not to go to war, you have to think he was pissing off Republicans and Democrats. When he was like, we're not doing the war thing anymore. We're not doing that. He was calling out the left, the right, the military industrial complex, and the agencies, all in 4 years. Just the whole time calling out all of it at once. I don't know, man. That's who I want to see in office. That's just me. I'm obviously wearing a shirt, so you know how I feel, but I'm just saying. But yeah, I just wanted to bring you guys that little update on what's going on with Trump, how Joe Rogan feels about him, giving you all the clips throughout that episode. It's a great episode, Tony Hinchcliffe. It's 2:44, okay? It's under what's considered a good Rogan episode, okay? 2 hours, 44 minutes. But it's Tony Hinchcliffe, and they always deliver when it's Joe and Tony Hinchcliffe. You'll get some laughs, you'll get some serious stuff. And somebody needs to get Tony a MAGA hat because he has gone full-blown Republican. He's not even hiding it anymore. And let's just wrap it up with saying, when is Rogan going to interview Trump? This needs to happen. He can't interview Biden. Or else I'd say interview Biden too. But we know that can't happen. Biden can't sit down for 2 hours and do an interview. Trump can. He can do that. He should do that. And again, I always say, you can't control who somebody interviews. You can't control who Rogan has on the podcast. But damn, it would be good to see. Don't you think so? Anyways, guys, got to get out of here. Like, subscribe, turn on the notifications. Other than that, I'm out.